Part 26. Entertainment, let you do a side job and set up a stall to tell fortunes. Author, Immortal Q int Love is. Chapter 251. On both sides of the river, the onlookers had just recovered from the thrilling scene, and their sharp eyes noticed the strange shape of the stone arch bridge. Under the constant erosion of the flood, this stone arch bridge, which had been built for hundreds of years, suddenly began to shake at an exaggerated rate. There are obvious cracks between the stones. Such a scene also made everyone realize that this bridge, which had not used any reinforced concrete for 100 years, was finally unable to hold up. Of course, what they were distressed about at this moment was not the bridge, but the two people on the bridge. On the bridge at this moment, Yang Lin, dressed in Taoist robes, was holding the child who had just fallen into the water with one hand. As the bridge swayed, his whole body swayed slightly. If you are not careful, you will fall into the raging flood together with the little boy in your arms. Seeing this scene, the onlookers couldn't bear it anymore. Run quickly, the bridge is about to collapse. Yes, Taoist Yang, don't be in a daze. It's over, this bridge is almost unstable. It was fine before, so why can't the bridge hold up this time? Aren't you talking nonsense? Have there been such big floods here before? Stop talking so much. This bridge is really on the verge of collapse. The flood is too severe. As he talked, some timid people didn't even dare to look, so they just covered their eyes. At this moment, Yang Lin, who was on the arch bridge, did not panic at all. He just stamped his right foot on the bridge, and the dangerous stone bridge stopped shaking. At the same time, some cracked places also closed up on their own. Seeing that the stone bridge was temporarily stable, Yang Lin immediately put down the boy in his arms, and then pointed in the direction of the shore. Go on, it's okay. Hearing Yang Lin's words, the little boy who was originally frightened looked at him in confusion, and then trotted all the way to the river bank. Not long after, a woman took him into her arms. At this moment, he was the only one left on the bridge again. Amid the surprised eyes of everyone on the shore, he stared intently at the flood below. He seemed to be observing something interesting inside. After watching for about a minute, Yang Lin suddenly took out a wooden sword from his arms, and then found a red rope from nowhere, and hung the wooden sword on the bridge. The tip of the sword pointed directly at the river. Strangely enough, after he completed the series of actions, the river below suddenly became much calmer. And the stone bridge he was standing on was completely stable. Although this change is subtle, it cannot escape the eyes of the onlookers on the shore. Especially when Yang Lin hung the mahogany sword on the bridge. What is Taoist Yang doing? Why would he hang a sword on the bridge? Wait a minute, I remembered a legend. It is said that every time there is a heavy rain or a flash flood, a dragon will take advantage of the rain and enter the sea. At the same time, the dragon will also destroy the bridges on the rivers along the way. There won't be any dragons in this river. No way, where did this kind of thing come from? Then tell me why the perfectly good bridge started to sway just now. The bridge stopped swaying after Daozang Yang hung up the sword. And this flood comes in a weird way. Maybe it's caused by a dragon. I think it's probably true. Otherwise, why would we even invite Taoist Master Yang here? As everyone thinks about it, this flood incident becomes more and more bizarre. But while everyone was talking about it, Yang Lin disappeared from the bridge. Half an hour later, the flood finally receded completely, and peace returned to the Daohe River. But the two earthworm statues in the river and the 8 iron bulls on both sides seemed to tell people that everything that just happened was true. At the same time, a large number of news and videos about the recent flood appeared on the internet in Dragon Kingdom. Most of these videos were made by the group of onlookers just now. Although the photography was not professional, the entire process of the flood's arrival was recorded. Once these videos were uploaded, they immediately attracted the attention of many netizens. After all, This was no ordinary flood. The process from the occurrence of the flood to the outbreak is full of mysteries. Especially the fact that the Natural Disaster Prevention Center predicted the arrival of floods in advance and placed earthworm statues and iron bulls in the middle of the river and on both sides of the river in advance. As well as the wonderful phenomenon of the two suppressing the peak of the flood during the flood, it has attracted countless netizens to discuss it. On Douyin short video alone, several videos about this incident have become hot searches. Weird things happen every year. It's really strange to see flooding in the city center today. Yeah, even a Qinghai native like me thinks it's outrageous. There's nothing outrageous. I was walking by the river today and saw the whole process of the flood with my own eyes. It's not too scary at all. Did the Natural Disaster Control Center really predict the coming of floods in advance? It really can't be true anymore. They brought the earthworm statue and the iron bull early in the morning and threw them into the river. Then the flood came. It was like something was stuck. Let me tell you quietly, this was all calculated by Yang Lin. He was the one who told the people at the Natural Disaster Control Center that the flood was coming, and it was he who made the earthworm statue and the iron bull. Holy crap, when you explain it like this, it suddenly makes sense. Who can tell me, is it really so effective? This magical thing can really suppress floods. I saw it with my own eyes, and I can't lie to you. The flood weakened on the spot, and a child who fell into the water was saved. There are some things that you really have to believe, especially when Yang Lin is at the scene. When he left, he hung a sword on the bridge. Coincidentally, after hanging up the sword, the century-old stone bridge that was about to collapse suddenly stabilized. Wait a minute, didn't he have to go to the police station to work today, so he took the time to resolve a flood? That's understandable. Suddenly all the attention was focused on Yang Lin. But Yang Lin, who had just finished a big event, walked into the Zhangjiawan police station compound leisurely. Not too much, not too little, just stuck at the point of going to work. Perhaps they were still busy interrogating the group of human traffickers and drug dealers, but there were still few people in the police station at this moment. There was only one gatekeeper and a policewoman in charge of household registration. Lu Ming and other major police officers were all absent. The reason why they are so relieved is also due to the 2 days of renovation. As a large number of drug dealers and human traffickers were arrested, some criminals engaged in other crimes also restrained themselves one by one. He was afraid that Yang Lin would catch them all like drug dealers. And just when Yang Lin was about to find something to do for himself, several members of the program team suddenly walked in with a man and a woman. Before they even got close, the program crew seemed to have seen a savior. "Teacher Yang, please help me, this lady seems to have encountered a liar." Entertainment, let you do a side job and set up a stall to tell fortunes. Author, Immortal Q int Love is. Chapter 252. Suddenly hearing the voices of several people, Yang Lin looked over subconsciously. After hearing what they said, he noticed that there was a middle-aged couple beside them. This middle-aged couple is about 60 years old. The man looks anxious, while the woman looks stubborn. "She can't be a liar, she is my daughter, her voice is exactly the same as my daughter's, and she even videotaped me." Mom, scammers are very clever nowadays. Not only can they simulate your daughter's voice, they can also use AI technology to replace it with your daughter's face. I don't know what I am. I have lived so long. I don't know if I have been deceived by others. Then let's listen to what the police comrades have to say. Although he hasn't asked what happened yet, Yang Lin has roughly judged what happened from the conversation between the aunt and several people from the program team. After he counted on his fingers, he became more confident in his guess. At this moment, the lighting engineer from the program team suddenly came to him with an anxious look on his face. "Teacher Yang, there is no one in the institute today. This lady doesn't believe me. Please tell her quickly." She has been defrauded of 300,000 yuan, and those scammers are not ready to let her go. Hearing what the lighting engineer said, Yang Lin just nodded. At this moment, the aunt also noticed Yang Lin. Perhaps because the internet access was not on the same channel, she did not recognize Yang Lin at the first time, but asked with suspicion. "Didn't you tell us to take us to the police? Why is he a Taoist priest?" Now all the Taoist priests come to the police station to work. But as soon as she finished saying this, Yang Lin smiled and replied, "Mom, the person who just asked you to transfer money is indeed a liar. If you don't believe it, you can transfer the rest of your money as well. If she continues to keep in touch with you, she is your real daughter. If she stops contacting you, then she is a liar." As soon as these words came out, everyone in the program team who was still nodding aside was stunned for an instant, and they even thought they heard it wrong. At the same time, the viewers in the live broadcast room also looked confused after hearing Yang Lin's method of detecting liars. "What? Did I hear you correctly? What kind of method is this to verify a liar? Lu, this lady looks like she can't pull back 10 cows. I feel like the only way Yang Lin can make her give up. It's effective, but isn't the purpose of identifying scammers to stop losses in time? Why does this increase losses?" Laughing to death, the way to make a liar give up cheating is to let the liar deceive everyone. No one thinks that they can really get back the money they defrauded after being scammed by telecommunications. Even if Yang Lin can figure out the locations of those fraudsters, if the police officers catch those people, the money will not be recovered. Why? Why? Let me tell you, those fraudsters are either overseas and we can't catch them, or they transfer the stolen money abroad the moment they receive it, and then the money will flow out in just a few minutes. Enter countless accounts. It's like a drop of fresh water dropped into the sea water. It's impossible to find it back. Indeed, a relative of mine was defrauded of 500,000 yuan by a scammer. Although the scammer was caught in the end, he didn't get back a cent of the defrauded money. In the end, my relative couldn't bear the blow and jumped off the building. There are too many such things, and the possibility of recovering the money defrauded is less than 1%. Then Yang Lin lets people transfer money to scammers. Isn't it like a meat bun beating a dog? What should we do? What else can I do? It depends on whether the aunt will listen to the advice. But before the audience in the live broadcast room could finish speaking, the lady took out her mobile phone again, and then transferred another 50,000 yuan to the other party regardless. After finishing the transfer, he didn't forget to say it in a show-off manner. "My daughter is now doing big business with others outside. Soon she will be able to earn back the money for me 100 times 1,000 times. After that, she said to the mobile phone, "Daughter, Mom has transferred a pension of 50,000 yuan to you. When will you come back?" But her expression changed as soon as she finished saying this. Following her gaze, I saw a red exclamation mark in front of the voice message she sent. At the same time, there is an additional line of small words below the voice. "The other party is not your friend yet." In an instant, the aunt felt like she was struck by lightning, looking at her phone screen in disbelief. "And don't forget to send the message again." But the final result was without the slightest exception, none of them were sent out. Even after sending verification information, no one responded. Seeing this, the lady finally panicked. "Impossible, she is my daughter, how could she be a liar? My daughter?" Before she finished the second sentence, the aunt was about to fall to the ground, obviously unable to accept this huge blow. Fortunately, several members of the program crew helped her up before she was about to fall to the ground. After being helped up, she collapsed on the ground with lifeless eyes. Seeing this scene, several members of the program team immediately looked at each other. And the viewers in the live broadcast room didn't know what to say. Yang Lin, on the other hand, looked calm and composed. "How about it, now you know he is a liar. Teacher Yang, let's not talk about this anymore. Now let's think of a way to get back the money that the ant was defrauded of. Even if we can't save all of it, we can save part of it. The ant and her husband can rely on this money to support their retirement. Hey, it's probably impossible to save it. In such a short time, the scammer has already changed hands several times. For a moment, everyone's faces were filled with pessimism. But at this moment, Yang Lin's voice came again. Who says the money can't be recovered? As long as the money is still on Blue Star, there is no way it can't be recovered. As soon as these words came out, the eyes of everyone present focused on him. At the same time, in an industrial park in Myanmar thousands of kilometers away from Beijing, a young man suddenly stood up from his workstation with an excited look on his face. Done. I finally squeezed the last bit of money out of that old lady's hands. It's better to cheat such an elderly person's money. I'm afraid she has never doubted that I am not her daughter. After hearing his words, a young man with glasses and a gentle face walked up behind him. Well done, hurry up and transfer this money to other accounts to avoid being recovered by the Longwo police. No problem, boss. As he spoke, the man who was engaged in fraud was preparing to operate the computer to transfer the money he had just defrauded. But when his mouse touched the computer screen, he quickly discovered a horrifying scene. I saw that his mouse cursor moved quickly without him moving. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Entertainment, let you do a side job and set up a stall to tell fortunes. Author, Immortal Q int Love is. Chapter 253. In the Zhangjiawan police station, nearly 10 minutes had passed since the lady was deceived. Everyone who originally thought there was no way to recover the losses was suddenly taken to the office in the police station by Yang Lin. Then he turned on the computer amidst the puzzled looks of several members of the program team. Teacher Yang, what are we doing now? Are you registering the case? Upon hearing the questions from the program staff, Yang Lin first smiled lightly, and then said with a confident look. Didn't Pandeo just say that he would help the ant get the money back? After saying that, he said to the ant beside him. Auntie, please give me your mobile phone. The ant, who was about to lose her breath, handed the phone to Yang Lin without even thinking after hearing Yang Lin's words. In her opinion, Yang Lin has become her last life-saving straw. When the audience in the live broadcast room saw this, they couldn't help but become curious. What is Yang Lin planning to do? Is he really able to get the money that my aunt was defrauded back? Isn't he planning to do something to get the money back? No, Taoism is not omnipotent, right? Can it also affect the internet? There can't really be three cyber cleanses. The internet is not a place outside the law. Of course, this law refers to the law. As for whether magic can affect the internet, I don't know. The most important thing is that the scammers use internet transfers to get money. To put it bluntly, this thing is just a string of data. It doesn't match Yang Lin's profession. I don't know if top hackers can find the accounts of fraudsters based on clues left on the internet. Just when everyone was talking to each other, Yang Lin, who got the ant's mobile phone, suddenly started operating on the computer. As he clicked with his fingers, a string of codes that no one could understand began to appear on his computer screen. It was only then that everyone remembered that Yang Lin had mastered a new skill not long ago. But this did not change their previous suspicions. It wasn't until 2 minutes later that Yang Lin's fingers left the keyboard. Okay, done. After hearing his words, several members of the program team immediately showed doubtful expressions. Teacher Yang, what have you done? An electronic goo insect, by the way, you call this thing a virus? What? Teacher Yang, you just made a computer virus. Yes, just like the poison in witchcraft, once it is implanted into the other party's computer, it can control everything in the other party's computer. Of course, these were all done deliberately by Yang Lin. In fact, he could borrow the power of heaven to instantly transfer back the money that the ant had been defrauded of. But that would be a bit too shocking. So he settled for the next best thing and chose a simpler method. Not long after he finished making the electronic voodoo, he used the lady's mobile phone to send it to the other party's computer. At the same time, the scammer on the other side in the Myanmar Industrial Park looked at his computer with a ghostly expression. After a period of turmoil, his computer automatically transferred all the money he had just defrauded back to his aunt. The whole process lasted less than a minute. When he reacted and tried to regain control of the computer, smoke billowed out from the computer's mainframe. Then the host exploded. Such a huge movement instantly attracted the attention of other fraudsters in the office, and even the person in charge of the electronic fraud group came over immediately. "What's going on? There's something wrong with your computer." Upon hearing the question from the fraud leader, the fraudster immediately showed a horrified expression. "Boss, there is a ghost. A ghost just took control of my computer, transferred back the money I just defrauded, and then blew up my computer." As soon as these words came out, the electronic fraud leader, who looked like a gentle scum, was stunned for a moment, and then his face turned gloomy. The next second, he kicked the fraudster in front of him to the ground, then pulled out a pistol from his waist and put it against his head. "Where in the world did this ghost come from? It's a virus in your computer, you idiot. Quickly, get a new computer. If you can't get your money back, you know the consequences." After hearing these threatening words, the electronic fraudster in his early 20s quickly scrambled to find a new computer. After some tinkering, he logged into his account again. Not long after he went online, he noticed that a picture suddenly appeared on his computer desktop. The content on the picture is clearly 5 little ghosts. These 5 little ghosts seemed to be mocking him, with their mouths wide open and holding large gold ingots in their hands. Before he could react, the 5 little devils suddenly laughed louder, and then the host next to them began to smoke. Boom! There was just a bang, and a newly replaced computer exploded again. The billowing black smoke almost choked all the fraudsters in the office. Seeing that he had blown up another computer, the electronic fraudster in his early 20s sat down on the ground on the spot. The next second, he was seen looking at the electronic fraud leader beside him with a slight cry. "Boss, I really have no choice. There is really a ghost on my computer." After hearing his words, the electronic fraud leader was about to kick him again when he heard bursts of exclamations suddenly coming from the office. Hearing the sound and looking around, he saw the same dynamic picture appearing on the screens of hundreds of computers in the office at the same time. The dynamic picture showed 5 little devils with their mouths open and laughing. It was as if he was mocking them. Seeing this scene, the leader of the scammers didn't know what was going on, and immediately shouted, "Unplug the power, quickly unplug the power." But his words were ultimately too late. When the fraudsters were about to unplug the power supply, their computers were just like the previous 2 computers, black smoke was emitting crazily. Then it exploded into a pile of electronic waste along with the host computer. In less than a minute, hundreds of computers in the entire office were wiped out. Black smoke with a pungent smell filled the entire office. The leader of the electronic fraud had no choice but to escape with a group of his followers. "Maid, what is going on? Who did you provoke?" After leaving the office, the leader of the electronic fraud immediately pointed his gun at the unlucky guy again. And that unlucky guy also looked like he was about to cry without tears at this moment. "Boss, I really don't know. I just lied to an old lady. Who would have thought that that old lady could also get computer viruses?" While the two were talking, another boy hurried over. "Brother Lang, what's wrong? All the money in our account just disappeared." "What?" As soon as these words came out, both the leader of the electronic fraud and the fraudsters present were all dumbfounded. Entertainment, let you do a side job and set up a stall to tell fortunes. Author, Immortal Q int Love is. Chapter 254. At the same time that the group of electronic fraudsters were all confused, the woman in the Zhangjiawan police station who had been defrauded of all her pension suddenly received a text message on her mobile phone. When she read the text message on her mobile phone, she who was already devastated suddenly became excited. "My money is back! My money is back!" He shouted twice in a row, instantly attracting the attention of everyone in the office. It's true and false. It's not just another trick played by a liar. It shouldn't be the case. I don't have any money in my hands, so what else can I do to cheat? Yes, but can those scammers spit out the money they defrauded? With some suspicion, the program team quickly took the phone from the aunt's hand and checked it carefully. After confirming that the money was indeed transferred back, they even called the bank to confirm. In the end, they also came to a somewhat unbelievable conclusion. The 300,000 that the aunt was defrauded of just now actually came back. As soon as this conclusion came out, the expressions of the program team members immediately changed, and they couldn't help but look at Yang Lin, who was sitting in front of the computer. You don't need to think about it to know that the money cannot be transferred back by scammers on their own initiative. If a liar had such a conscience, he would not become a liar. So the only one who could do this was Yang Lin, but what they didn't understand was how Yang Lin managed to get those scammers to spit out their money in less than 5 minutes. Such doubts also appeared in the hearts of the viewers in the live broadcast room. What's going on? I really got my money back. It shouldn't be fake. Didn't the bank staff just say that the money has indeed arrived? That's amazing, isn't it? It's the first time I've heard that scammers will take the initiative to transfer the money they defrauded. How could it be that a scammer took the initiative? It should be the virus Yang Lin just made. Niubo, this can also be done. I can understand Taoist priests casting poison, but I would never have thought of a computer virus. Building internet avenues, planting electronic viruses, and listening to electronic scriptures are just a trend. Fake spells can take people's lives from thousands of miles away. Real spells can take people's money from thousands of miles away. Thankfully, Yang Lin took the right path. If he took the crooked path, I might not be able to keep the 50 cents in my bank card. For a moment, the audience in the live broadcast room was filled with sighs. After the lady confirmed that her money was really back, she thanked Yang Lin profusely. It took quite a while before I left the Zhangjiawan police station. After the aunt left, the program team also breathed a long sigh of relief. Teacher Yang, you have done a great good deed today. If this lady can't get her money back, I guess she won't want to live anymore. Yes, those electronic fraudsters are not human beings. They specialize in defrauding poor people out of their life-saving money. I don't know how many families have been harmed. I feel like they are no less harmful than drug dealers. Before the program team members could finish speaking, Yang Lin on the side suddenly spoke. So Pandeo just gave them a little punishment. As soon as they heard that Yang Lin actually punished drug dealers, the program team immediately became interested. What punishment? Pandeo just took some money from them. That's right, that's right. Those are all stolen money. By the way, how much is it? 3.8 billion. As the two fluttering numbers came out of Yang Lin's mouth, both the program team and the audience in the live broadcast room were all stunned. At this moment, time seemed to have stopped. After a long while, the program team finally came to their senses. Then he asked with a look of disbelief. How many? 3.8 billion, Yang Lin replied expressionlessly again. The program team members who got a definite answer this time could no longer hold back. 3.8 billion, 3.8 billion, my God, Teacher Yang, did you transfer all their money? Just a short while. You are such a god, internet god. 666, These liars don't even have any pants left for them. It's so satisfying, so satisfying. It turns out that these scammers have defrauded so much money, and I don't know how many families have been harmed by them. Needless to say, do you know the average amount of money defrauded by Longwo every year? Nearly 50 billion yuan every year. These 50 billion yuan have basically fallen into the hands of overseas criminals. The 3.8 billion yuan may have been saved by them over several years. I have a hunch that there will definitely be a group of handsome guys getting beaten up there. They deserve to be beaten. Do they really not know what kind of work they are doing abroad? Just as netizens guessed. At this moment, in the park, which is called an industrial park but is actually a fraud den, hundreds of men and women are hanging on wooden stakes. Next to them was a group of foreign armed personnel armed with firearms. The previous scammer leader with glasses and a gentle face was also transformed into a devil. A thick iron rod in his hand would fall on the group of men and women from time to time. Even though he knew that the transfer of the money just now had nothing to do with these people, he had nowhere to vent his anger and could only vent his anger on these people. As for the young man who first brought the virus here, he was already buried in the banana forest next to the park. After his anger was almost vented, the man immediately took out his pistol with a crazy look on his face and fired randomly into the sky. He didn't stop until all the bullets were fired. Check. Check for me. We must find out who took away our money. When I find him, I want him dead. As he spoke, he pulled out a young man from the side who also wore glasses but had an honest face. Aren't you a computer expert? Find that person for me and I'll give you 5 million. No. It's 10 million. Can it be done? Listening to the slightly threatening words of the electronic fraud leader, the young man with glasses knew that he could not do it. After all, that was the person who easily hacked all their computers with a computer virus, and also washed all the financial accounts of the entire electronic fraud gang. Looking at the entire computer industry, such a person is quite explosive. It is not an exaggeration to say that he is the god of hackers. And he is just an ordinary programmer. Asking him to find the great god is as outrageous as asking Bangbo Ba to kill Tang Monk and his disciples. But after seeing his boss's ferocious expression, he finally did not dare to speak out his true thoughts. At the same time that the electronic fraud gang began to fight among themselves, the phone at the Zhangjiawan police station also started ringing one after another. Entertainment, let you do a side job and set up a stall to tell fortunes. Author, Immortal Q int Love is. Chapter 255. In the office of Zhangjiawan police station, with the popularity of the live broadcast, netizens also knew that Yang Lin could get back the money he had defrauded from fraudsters. Therefore, these netizens who had been victims of electronic fraud also called Zhangjiawan police station as soon as they grasped a life-saving straw. And this almost exhausted the young lady on duty to death. Seeing that there were no more calls to answer, Yang Lin hurriedly said to the live broadcast camera, "I can understand everyone's mood, but I also ask everyone to wait for a while. Since Bandeo can recover the money from the ant just now, he can naturally help you recover the money you were defrauded from. Please go to the message board of the police center one by one and leave your information. I will have someone verify it later. After verification, the payment will be made immediately." As soon as these words came out, the audience in the live broadcast room immediately became excited. Is it true? Is what Yang Lin said true? Can we really get back the money we were defrauded? That's great. I was defrauded of 500,000 yuan last year, and I almost didn't survive. Me too, I was defrauded of 150,000 yuan in the first half of this year, which was my savings for several years. My mother was defrauded of 700,000 yuan last year. She aged 10 years overnight. She felt distressed and powerless. The scammers are so abominable. Although Yang Lin punished the group of scammers just now, there are still many scammers left, and most of them are outside the country. Yeah, that's what I'm worried about. They may have converted the money into cash. That's how it's done in the movies I've seen. We can't expect too many poplars. We can recover as much as we can. If we can't recover, we can only accept our fate. Yes, it is already a great kindness if people are willing to help us. Just as everyone was talking to each other, the phone in the office finally stopped ringing. Several members of the program team also looked at Yang Lin with worried faces. Teacher Yang, are you going too far this time? Yes, there are so many overseas electronic fraud gangs. If you only rely on one person, how can you help them recover all the stolen money? It's not that difficult. Who knows where the scammers' hideouts are, and I can't say that I can track them through network IP like the lady before. Faced with everyone's worries, Yang Lin remained as calm as before. As long as they commit fraud through the internet, they cannot escape Pindeo's tracking. After that, he turned on the computer again. In fact, he contacted Tiandeo with his spiritual consciousness. Trace all the addresses in the country where a large number of calls are coming in. Okay, my dear. Following Tiandeo's response, the Tai Chi Bagua diagram that existed in the online world immediately began to operate. In this online world, the heavenly Dao incarnated by Yang Lin Yin Shen is like a real god. It searches the entire internet in almost the blink of an eye, and even foreign networks cannot stop it. 186 addresses that meet my conditions have been found. This address contains a large number of outbound phone calls and network calls, and there are large amounts of transactions. Listening to the reply from Tiandeo, Yang Lin nodded immediately. If the above conditions are met, it can basically be determined to be an overseas fraud gang. In that case, then send me the 5 Ghost Fortune virus to these addresses. Okay, my dear. As Tiandeo responded to Yang Lin's order, in an instant, the 5 Ghost Fortune virus previously written by Yang Lin spread through the internet at the speed of light to the working places of the fraudsters. At the same time, in the dark corners of Burma, dried fruit, Siam, South Vietnam, and many other countries close to the Dragon Kingdom, the same pattern appeared on a large number of computer screens. There are 5 grinning little ghosts on the pattern. At this moment, Wei Zhenjai, the second in command of the Webster Group, was patrolling the country built by his 2 brothers, and behind him were 2 gunmen holding axe. Upon hearing these words, Wei Zhenjai and the gangster immediately looked in the direction pointed by the gunman. Just one glance frightened them out of their wits. He didn't say it in detail. He just said he saw 5 little ghosts on the screen, and then all the money disappeared and the computer exploded. Every time he saw a fraudster succeed in committing a fraud, he would have an excited smile on his face. Then he picked up a gold ingot and put it into the pocket behind him. The little guy immediately shook his head when he heard this. And their fund account has just been robbed by a mysterious hacker, leaving not a penny. Mr. Ye, are you a brat like that? Quickly check to see if the money is still in the account. The 2 of them were only halfway talking when a gunman holding an AK behind them suddenly pointed at a computer in the office next to them and said. Naturally, it also includes Hongyuan Industrial Park, the largest industrial park in Myanmar. On dozens of computer screens in front of them, a dynamic picture appeared at the same time. Hearing what the young man said, Wei Zhenjai, who was full of anger, immediately showed a disdainful smile. Did he say that the computer virus was so powerful that it could take away all his money? By the time they reacted, not a single computer in the entire office was intact. Astonishingly, there were 5 little ghosts of different colors grinning. It's just that the minds mined here are not ordinary minds, but human minds. Yes, should we install antivirus software on the computer? Otherwise, what if we get infected too? After a long while, he remembered something and immediately took out his phone and dialed the number above. There are as many as 5,000 computers inside, and they are densely packed like a large mining farm. My money. This industrial park belongs to the Webster Group. It is nominally a production base for the production of electronic products, but in fact it is a criminal paradise that houses thousands of electronic fraudsters. Then there was the explosion. Just as he was walking through an office, a minion ran over. After saying that, he seemed to think of something again, and hurriedly asked again. "It's all gone, the boss is gone." "Boss, there has just been news from Chen-Lang that all their computers are infected with viruses." Without even giving them time to react, all the computers in the office collectively emitted black smoke. As soon as the call was connected, he immediately said loudly. Immediately everyone in Wei Zhenjai was dumbfounded. As soon as these words came out, Wei Zhenjai felt as if he had been struck by lightning, and the mobile phone in his hand fell to the ground. 5 little ghosts? So magical. Not long after saying this, a trembling voice came from the other end of the phone. "This kid, we asked him to cooperate with us a long time ago, but he refused. Now it's better. One day he will come back on his knees and beg us." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Entertainment, let you do a side job and set up a stall to tell fortunes. Author, Immortal Q int Love is. Chapter 256. As one of the largest conglomerates in the entire Myanmar state, the two Webster brothers of the Webster Group started with a butcher's knife. It took 20 years and defeated many competitors to get to where it is today. There are hundreds of people in the armed forces alone. Since both brothers escaped from the Dragon Kingdom, they knew the people of the Dragon Kingdom very well, so they expanded the electronic fraud business. In recent years, they have been luring young people from the Long Kingdom to work in Myanmar with high wages, and then using force to force them to commit fraud. In the past 5 years, the total amount of stolen money they have defrauded has exceeded 20 billion. In addition, their illegal gains over the years have reached a terrifying 30 billion, which is more cash than many listed companies in Dragon Kingdom. To be on the safe side, they deposited most of them in hundreds of accounts abroad. But in just that moment, all of his hundreds of accounts were cleared. All the money has disappeared. There is no bank transfer record, no deposit and withdrawal record, not even a trace of circulation can be found. But all the more than 30 billion yuan in funds disappeared without a trace, as if they had seen a ghost. After several minutes of shock and distress, Wei Zhenjai quickly contacted his brother Wei Zhangkong. "Brother, all the money in our account is gone." "What? Even the money in your personal account is gone? What is happening?" Before he could finish his words, a busy signal suddenly came from the other end of the phone. When he tried to call back, he found that he couldn't get through. "I borrowed the cell phone of the boy next to me, but the result was still the same." After studying for a while, he finally discovered the problem. At this moment, his cell phones and those of his younger brothers all had no signal. It's not that the signal is weak, it's that there is no signal at all. "I can't make calls, surf the internet, or watch videos. I can't do anything." The phone turned into a brick on the spot. And he knows better than anyone what it means to not have a mobile phone these days. "What the hell, what is going on? Who can tell me?" As he spoke, Wei Zhenjai dropped the mobile phone that had turned into a brick in his hand to the ground. The little boss, who was already trembling with fear, saw this and quickly said, "Could it be related to those brats just now? They transferred your money and blocked our network." As soon as these words came out, Wei Zhenjai, who had already fallen into a state of rage, instantly regained consciousness. It must be the internet virus that Chen-Lang mentioned. Who is messing with us? Could it be the Dragon Kingdom police? All our mobile phones have no signal now. Could it be that they have blocked the signal? The little boss said again. Impossible. The Dragon Kingdom police have no overseas law enforcement rights. It is impossible for them to go abroad to arrest us. The Myanmar police don't have the guts. After saying that, Wei Zhenjai said to a gunman on the side, "Find a way to send someone to contact the other companies and ask them what the situation is." After hearing the order from his boss, the gunman immediately got on a motorcycle and left the park. When he came back again, he immediately reported to Wei Zhenjai, "Boss, I have just asked several other companies. Their situation is the same as ours. All the funds in their accounts have been transferred. All computers, mobile phones and other electronic equipment in the park were malfunctioning and damaged, without any exception. Now all campuses are paralyzed." As soon as these words came out, Wei Zhenjai and the little boss beside him could no longer remain calm. If they were alone, they would think someone was targeting them. But the problem now is that the same situation has happened to several large-scale electronic fraud gangs throughout Myanmar. This is too terrible. And it happened in an instant. Thinking back to the little ghost I saw before, it was more or less weird. Suddenly they felt that the temperature of the surrounding air had become much lower. Of course, this was not because they were afraid, but because the air conditioner in the office turned on by itself without anyone turning it on. The air conditioners in these offices have not been turned on since they were purchased. In their minds, those fraudsters can only be regarded as piglets, not even human beings, and are not worthy of air conditioning. But at this moment, the air conditioners happened to be turned on, and not just one or two, but all the air conditioners in the entire park were turned on. Not only that, there are TVs, radios, smart refrigerators, and even printers in the park, as well as cars parked in the yard. In an instant, everything started on its own. Especially those high-end cars bought from Longguo, because they have self-driving functions, they just run rampant in the yard. Fortunately, such a strange scene happened during the day. If it had happened at night, everyone in the entire park would have been scared crazy. Just at this time, bursts of strange voices from Kazikaz suddenly came from the radio in the park. It was as if something had crawled out of the ground. Wei Zhenjai and other leaders of the electronic fraud gang, who had done many bad things to begin with, were so frightened that their legs became weak and they broke out in cold sweat. Unconsciously, they thought of the unlucky people they had buried in the banana forest. "It's a ghost. The ghost is coming. Those people we killed are coming back to us." I don't know who shouted, and instantly the entire park erupted in bursts of fearful wailing. Like dominoes, these cries of fear instantly broke the strong hearts of Wei Zhenjai and other culprits. The next second they couldn't care less, and ran out of the park. He kept shouting while running, "Don't come to me, don't come to me. I'll give you all the money, give it all to you." Perhaps out of fear, he didn't even see an uncontrolled car in front of him crashing in his direction. By the time he discovered it, the car was less than 5 meters away from him. Suddenly he saw a bloody figure sitting in the driver's seat of the car and smiling at him. And this person was surprisingly a young man from the Dragon Kingdom who he ordered his men to throw into a pit a few months ago and then stone to death. Ah! With a shrill scream, the second in command of the Webster Group, a criminal who had committed numerous crimes, was hit by his car and flew more than 10 meters away, losing his life on the spot. At the same time, the same situation is also happening in major fraud dens located overseas. The ghost-like electronic virus not only affects the internet, but even affects reality through certain media. Yang Lin himself was somewhat unexpected at this point. Entertainment, let you do a side job and set up a stall to tell fortunes. Author, Immortal Q int Love is. Chapter 257. Just when those overseas fraud organizations were in chaos, Yang Lin in the Zhangjiawan police station on the other side seemed as if nothing had happened. But not long after, his phone rang. The caller was surprisingly Qin Feng. "Teacher Yang, you have really taken on another big job for us this time. Just now our police center received hundreds of thousands of messages, all asking for our help in tracking down telecommunications fraud. It's not just us, now all police centers across the country are in chaos. Telecommunication fraud is different from drug trafficking and human trafficking. The chain of cases is really too long. But before Qin Feng could finish speaking, Yang Lin said calmly. Then what if Pandeo has recovered all the stolen money? Qin Feng didn't react for a moment when he suddenly heard Yang Lin's words. After several seconds, he asked slightly suspiciously. What did you just say? All the stolen money has been recovered. How is this possible? The amount of fraudulent funds that have flowed into overseas in our country over the past few years has exceeded hundreds of billions. And all these hundreds of billions were scattered to banks around the world, leaving no trace at all. Obviously, Qin Feng did not believe that Yang Lin could recover all the defrauded funds. This possibility is even lower than if he caught all the thieves in the Dragon Kingdom. But Yang Lin's next words completely made him uneasy. Pandeo has no reason to lie to you. Just now, Pandeo recovered a total of 178.6 billion in stolen money. The only problem now is that you need to check them one by one and return the defrauded funds to the victims. As soon as these words came out, Qin Feng, who was on the phone, was stunned for an instant. And at this time, Song Yi, the head of the city bureau next to him, also came to him. What's wrong, Lao Qin, is there something wrong? Hearing Song Yi's voice, Qin Feng felt like he was waking up from a dream. Thinking of what Yang Lin said just now, he hesitated for a while, and then asked slightly tentatively. Director, if one person recovers all the fraudulent funds that flowed overseas, what should we do? Suddenly hearing this question, Song Yi was obviously stunned for a moment. The next second he burst out laughing. If this were true, I would wake up laughing in my dream. Electronic fraud is a long-standing problem nowadays. Don't say it's just a headache for me, it's a headache for police all over the country. It's almost become a problem for us. After receiving Song Yi's answer, Qin Feng nodded first. Then asked another question. Director, what if that person used unconventional means to get back the defrauded funds? Is he committing a crime? If that person really has this ability, I, the director, can let him do it. Then what kind of crime is it? He is clearly touching the top 10 figures in the Dragon Kingdom. That's it? What? Why are you asking this suddenly? Oh, actually it's nothing. Dao Kanyang just called me and told me that he had successfully recovered the stolen money that was transferred overseas, 178.6 billion yuan. As soon as Qin Feng finished speaking, Song Yi's expression changed instantly. It was unbelievable with a hint of surprise. The next second I saw him grabbing Qin Feng's shoulders with excitement and saying, "You didn't lie to me, did you? Dao Zhangyang really recovered 178.6 billion in stolen money. Of course, it's impossible for Taoist Yang to lie to me about this matter, and I think he has the ability." Hearing Qin Feng's answer, Song Yi immediately thought of all the deeds Yang Lin had done in the past few days. But director, those traffickers from yesterday haven't finished interrogating them yet. Accurately count the drug dealers in the city and arrest them. Then calculate the hiding places of all the traffickers in the city and catch all the traffickers in one go. Makes sense. A video from abroad soon appeared in the mailbox of the Jinghai Municipal Bureau. But things are far from over here. I think this is the biggest punishment for them compared to sending the army to encircle and suppress them. Just when netizens were shocked, Song Yi also led a large force from the Jinghai Municipal Bureau to the Zhangjiawan police station. Is that human being? There is a saying that it is more difficult to recover the stolen money that has been raised around the world than to break into the Octagon cybersecurity system. Good guy, will you have to learn Java, Python, and C++ to become a Taoist priest in the future? The top priority now is to find Dao Zhangyang immediately and then handle the electronic fraud case. I'm suddenly glad that Yang Lin is not a bad person, otherwise it would be terrible. But when Yang Lin showed the financial information on the computer screen in front of them, the audience exploded instantly. And the news that went viral on the internet this morning about Qin Tian suppressing the flood and avoiding disaster in the South China district. At the same time, Yang Lin also informed all the viewers that he had seized 178.6 billion stolen money from the electronic fraud gang. And for those victims, this is tantamount to a new lease of life. As he spoke, Song Yi led a large group of people from the bureau towards the Zhangjiawan police station. The small police station was immediately packed to the brim. Even if you tell me now that Yang Lin can break the defense of the beautiful octagon building, I will believe it. Sure enough, Taoism is also advancing with the times. I believe those victims have been waiting for this day for too long. Don't worry, without money, they will continue to cheat, unless they are not allowed to go online or make phone calls. After verifying the information of those victims, the amount they were defrauded was returned one by one. 178.6 billion, this is such a huge number. He may have stolen all the money from the fraud gang. Holy shit, this is actually true. He really got all the stolen money back. When the audience learned the news, their initial reaction was exactly the same as Qin Feng's. Don't rush into trial now. It won't be a problem if we lock them up for a few days. His various incredible abilities are beyond the reach of ordinary people. It would not be an exaggeration to say that he is a god. What kind of technology is this? How long did it take? How did he do it? Let's go. Go to Zhangjiawan police station and bring all the police officers in charge of technology and electronic fraud in the bureau. After confirming that all the stolen money had been returned, they immediately started working here. After a moment of silence, Song Yi immediately picked up the hat on the table next to him. It's incredible. It's as difficult as finding a drop of fresh water in an ocean. Entertainment, let you do a side job and set up a stall to tell fortunes. Author, Immortal Q int Love is. Chapter 258. At the Zhangjiawan police station, with the joint efforts of a group of police officers from the municipal bureau and police officers drawn from various police stations. One after another, hundreds of victims have gotten back their defrauded funds. Anyway, as long as Yang Lin is here, there will be no problem in tracing the source. Seeing more and more victims finally getting the long-awaited justice, a piece of news from the municipal bureau made Song Yi, the leader of the municipal bureau, change his face. Perhaps noticing the change in Song Yi's expression, Qin Feng, who was assisting with the work, hurried over. Song Bureau, what's wrong? Did something happen? Hearing Qin Feng's words, Song Yi took a deep breath and then handed the phone to Qin Feng's hand. See for yourself, those people are simply crazy. As soon as these words came out, Qin Feng became more and more confused, until he saw a video on Song Yi's mobile phone, and his face turned dark. Following his gaze, I saw that what was playing on the phone at this moment was a video. In the video, a man is tied to a chair. There was no good flesh anywhere on his body, and dark red blood was dripping all over the floor. It was almost impossible to tell whether he was alive or dead. Next to this man were two gunmen with black short-sleeved upper bodies and camouflage trousers lower bodies holding firearms. When the video played for 17 seconds, a man holding a baseball bat walked into the camera. I saw him first hitting the man hard with a stick, and then said to the screen with an arrogant look, "I know all my money was taken away by you. But it doesn't matter. You shouldn't have killed my brother, and you shouldn't have made people like them lose their jobs." After saying that, the camera suddenly turned. In a closed warehouse, there were hundreds of people hanging on the beams of the warehouse. These men, like the man tied to the chair earlier, were covered in wounds. It can almost be said to be terrible. The man holding a baseball bat casually walked up to a hanging Huang Mao. "Tell them what your name is and where you come from." Hearing the man's words, Huang Mao's face suddenly showed an expression of extreme fear. The next second I heard him say in a trembling voice, "My name is Zhang Jiwei, from Majiahe village, Sanjai County, Henan Province, Dragon Kingdom." Before Huang Mao could finish his words, the man holding a baseball bat kicked him in the stomach. Suddenly he was swaying from side to side like a piece of bacon hanging on the beam. The man holding the baseball bat laughed immediately when he saw this. Throwing the baseball bat casually, his ferocious face was revealed, which was somewhat similar to Wei Zhenjai, who was hit by a car before. "As you can see, these are the people from your country who came to Myanmar to work. But you smashed their jobs and robbed them of the fruits of their labor. Now they have no value and have become waste. If I say a word, they will all die. If you want to save them." As soon as the video reached this point, Qin Feng, who was full of anger, could no longer watch it. Too arrogant, really too arrogant, these people have reached the point of being crazy. How dare they threaten us? Because Qin Feng's voice was so loud, everyone in the police station looked over. They obviously didn't quite understand why Qin Feng suddenly became so angry. Netizens also exploded one after another. Just when this video sparked heated discussion on the internet, the Jinghai Municipal Bureau also held an emergency meeting. They were desperados to begin with. Although those who were kidnapped were helpless, they were all accomplices and did not deserve sympathy. You can't say that. There are always a few who are deceived and deceived. At the press conference, when Qin Feng, as deputy director, publicly announced that the Beijing and Hainan police would take the lead and join police forces across the country to mobilize 1,000 police officers to work together with the Myanmar police to eliminate the group of terrorists, the entire network was shocked. It is about the international influence and status of the entire Dragon Kingdom. Soon they found a video on Douyin that was exactly the same as the one Qin Feng watched just now. I guess these fraudsters now have to raise funds just to eat bags of instant noodles. Netizens did not expect that the Jinghai police would take action so quickly. As soon as these words came out, the attention of everyone who was still working was instantly attracted. Yes, this is the first time I see criminals openly provoking the police. The video of them threatening the police was actually uploaded directly to the Longguo internet. No one knew what was said at the meeting, but after the meeting, the Jinghai City Police jointly held a press conference with major media. The most important thing is that they dare to ask for ransom. They really treat our Dragon Kingdom as a soft persimmon. Yes, once you are deceived, it will be a dead end. You can't escape. Most of them don't want to. Even their superiors sent people to attend the meeting. Even the program staff filming on the side were no exception. Don't you know, this is because Yang Lin has transferred back all the funds that were defrauded by them, and now all the money in their hands has been emptied. Not long after, this video from within the electronic fraud gang was circulated on the entire Longguo internet. Obviously, those electronic fraudsters have lost their strength after being cornered. What are you thinking about? Now the nature has changed. They have changed from ordinary crimes to terrorist activities. The first time they took out their mobile phones. Even if they have violated the law, they should be tried by the judicial department of our Dragon Kingdom instead of being abused by these criminals. And it is released simultaneously on various platforms. What's going on? Are these fraudsters crazy? Until one of the young police officers accidentally saw a short video. Are they desperate for their lives? They have kidnapped so many people from the Dragon Kingdom. Crime requires evidence, and fighting terrorists only requires coordinates. What they didn't expect was that this time Yang Lin was appointed as an operational consultant. After seeing this short video, his expression changed instantly. From the moment the fraudsters released the video, this was not just a matter for the Jinghai Municipal Bureau. The meeting lasted for nearly 2 hours. It's those overseas electronic fraudsters who are so brave that they even dared to upload videos of them kidnapping hostages online. In this situation, I don't know what the Jinghai police will do. Do they really want to pay a ransom? So that's it? No wonder they suddenly jumped over the wall. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Entertainment, let you do a side job and set up a stall to tell fortunes. Author, Immortal Q int Love is. Chapter 259. Time flies to the second day, and the Jinghai City Bureau compound has already been arranged as a swearing-in ceremony. 500 elite police officers drawn from various departments of the Jinghai Municipal Bureau were ready to go. As the leader of this operation, Qin Feng briefly explained the goal of their mission and said sternly, "This mission is not only about the property safety of our people, but also about the dignity of our Dragon Kingdom. This time we must bring those fraudsters to justice no matter what, and rescue the persecuted citizens of the Dragon Kingdom. Ready to go now." Following Qin Feng's order, the 500 elite police officers, armed with live ammunition, got into their cars. It was at this time that Qin Feng looked at Yang Lin aside. And Yang Lin was able to appear here not because Qin Feng invited him to come, but because Yang Lin came here himself. "Daozang Yang, why don't you go with us? Although this mission is outside the country, with the cooperation of our Longguo police and Myanmar police, those criminals cannot escape." But as soon as Qin Feng finished speaking, Yang Lin shook his head. "I'm afraid things are not as simple as you think. Pandeo watched the stars last night. Although your operation was successfully completed in the end, the process was very bumpy." Pandeo just looked at the people who were on this mission again and found that dozens of them had deathly expressions on their faces. "This means that they will die in this mission." Qin Feng, who originally had a calm face, suddenly changed his expression after hearing Yang Lin's words. First, he looked at the elite police officers who were getting into their cars, and then focused on Yang Lin. "Daozang Yang, are you reading that right? Do they really have a look of death on their faces? It's impossible for me to be wrong about this. Their trip to Burma has a narrow escape from death." This. If anyone else had said these words, Qin Feng would have slapped him with two big mouths. But when these words came out of Yang Lin's mouth, their weight was different. Yang Lin said they would die, so they would definitely die. But what he couldn't figure out was that if he wasn't just going to catch a group of electronic fraudsters, why would there be such large-scale sacrifices? But he also knew that now was not the time to dwell on this issue. The first priority now is to ensure that as much as you go out this time, you will still have the same amount when you come back. The loss of one person breaks up a family, and they cannot explain to their families. After being silent for a long time, Qin Feng took a deep breath. "Taoist master, I'll trouble you this time. They are all good boys. They are still young and should not die in a foreign country." Hearing Qin Feng's words, Yang Lin nodded immediately. "Of course, as long as Pandeo is around, we will never let anything happen to them. Besides, there's something Pandeo didn't tell you. In fact, not only them, but also you have blood lingering on your body. That means you're either seriously injured or missing an arm or a leg." Ah! Qin Feng never expected that he would also be a part of it. But when he thought of Yang Lin by his side, he didn't take this matter too seriously. While the two were talking quietly, several members of the program team also ran over. Judging from the expressions on their faces, they were very excited at the moment. "Teacher Yang, I really benefited from you this time. We have directly changed from entertainment reporters to war reporters. Yeah, it's exciting just thinking about it. Hey, I guess the audience didn't expect that the normal celebrity reality show would turn into a live broadcast in the battlefield. No matter what happens when we come back this time, we have to ask our leaders to give us a salary increase. From today on, we are lifelong friends." Obviously, at this moment, they just regarded this action as an outing, and did not realize the seriousness of the problem at all. At the same time, a large number of viewers flooded into the official live broadcast room of the Come On Workers program on the other side. The number far exceeds any previous live broadcast. These viewers came over after learning that Yang Lin would go abroad with the Qinghai police to arrest electronic fraudsters. The program team also took this opportunity to pin Yang Lin's live broadcast room to the top again. In comparison, the live broadcast rooms of several other celebrities look so lackluster. As soon as they entered the live broadcast room, these viewers from all over the country sent a large number of comments. But this time, he didn't make any predictions. Instead, he glanced out the window, pointed in a direction and said. Suddenly hearing Yang Lin's precise and quick answer, Qin Feng didn't react for a moment. It is basically impossible for such a thing to happen. Yang Lin is only acting as a consultant this time. He is probably just responsible for providing some auxiliary opinions. It is impossible for him to go to the battlefield. You're wearing a Taoist robe and holding a Gatling, standing there, right? But before the arrest, he came to Yang Lin. Taoist priest, you haven't even started the hexagram yet, how do you know where they are? A coordinate was clearly displayed on the computer screen. Only then did he remember that Yang Lin seemed to have gained a new skill recently. To think that my Huahua is still delivering food. I hope these criminals will be wiser and not force the Qinghai police to dispatch Yang Lin. Kunken is still unlucky. The house he just sold collapsed due to quality problems. Now he is still arguing with others. And completed the rendezvous with the Myanmar police. So he immediately decided to arrest him overnight. The Myanmar police originally planned to launch operations during the day the next day, but Qin Feng considered that the criminals might escape overnight. Front row. With Yang Lin here, it's like turning on a see-through plug-in. Those fraudsters have no place to hide. Yang Lin has already hit the ceiling for workers. He has already worked in the anti-terrorism battlefield. First, I never expected that one day I would be able to watch anti-terrorism operations in the live broadcast room of an entertainment program. In that direction, 80 kilometers away from us, there will be a small town over there. The small town is the den of the group of electronic fraudsters. The whole journey is thousands of kilometers. Following the discussion among netizens, Yang Lin and several members of the program team also got into the police car. All the way through western Guangxi, southern Yunnan, and then into Myanmar from southern Yunnan. Hearing this question, Yang Lin, who was sitting in the passenger seat and dozing off, immediately opened his eyes. Qin Feng was stunned the next second, and saw that there was a laptop on Yang Lin's lap. What's wrong with delivering food? Delivering food is also about protecting the stomach. I would like to call Huahua the Huang family's stomach protector. But as soon as he finished speaking, Yang Lin pointed to his knees. I seriously doubt that the Qinghai police brought Yang Lin in for this purpose. Who could have imagined this? I look forward to Yang Lin holding an AK and fighting with the terrorists. When the time came in the evening, thousands of police officers from the Qinghai police and other police departments across the country finally successfully entered the country. The fraudsters have no idea of the seriousness of the problem. Daozang Yang, please help me figure out where those electronic fraudsters are hiding now. They set off for Myanmar that morning. What are you thinking about? How could such a thing happen? Entertainment, let you do a side job and set up a stall to tell fortunes. Author, Immortal Q int Love is. Chapter 260. Myanmar, a small country located on the southwest border of the Dragon Kingdom, has become a paradise for some criminals due to its unique geographical location. In particular, telecommunications fraud, which has emerged in recent years, has flourished here. These criminals usually use high wages or free travel as gimmicks to lure young people from the Dragon Kingdom. Then violent means were used to force them to carry out illegal and criminal activities. Once they lose their use value, criminals will extract value from them. It is precisely because of this that the Qinghai police chose to launch operations overnight. They were worried that if the time was delayed until the next day, the kidnapped citizens of the Dragon Kingdom might not survive that time. Now that Yang Lin has provided them with the address of the criminal's lair, the Longguo police are even more powerful. In order not to alert others, the program team also quickly shut down the live broadcast. In less than an hour, the Qinghai police quietly arrived at the town where criminals were hiding with 500 police officers. As for other police forces, they worked together with the Myanmar police to block all intersections to prevent criminals from escaping. When everything was ready, Qin Feng immediately made a gesture to move forward. The 500 police elites immediately walked slowly towards the town ahead. At the same time, in a building inside the town, Wei Zhangkong, who smelled of alcohol, looked at the surveillance screen in front of him with a fierce look on his face. These dozens of surveillance screens correspond to dozens of entrances and exits in the town where they are located. It could be said that even if a wild dog ran in, they would be able to detect it immediately. At this moment, a boy on the side poured Wei Zhangkong a glass of wine, and then asked with a worried face, "Boss, when do you think the Qinghai police will come? I read the news on the internet and said that this time they have dispatched thousands of police officers. Along with them are those trash from Myanmar." Upon hearing this question from his younger brother, Wei Zhangkong first picked up the wine glass and took a sip, and then said calmly, "It shouldn't be that fast. They want to find our location as long as they get tomorrow. And even if they find it, they will never come back this time." Speaking of this, a trace of ferocity flashed across his eyes. "I don't know if what those guys are selling works or not. If I had known, I would have invited a few people to test it out." As soon as he finished speaking, the young man beside him quickly flattered, "He, the quality of the things Mazi sells is generally not good. Just those things, as long as they dare to break in, as many as they will die." Humph. Do they think I'm really asking them for ransom? No amount of money is nothing compared to my brother's life. After saying that, Wei Zhangkong drank all the wine in the cup in one gulp. "Let the brothers be more vigilant. If there is any movement, report to me immediately. I will go back and sleep for a while." As soon as he finished speaking, Wei Zhangkong stood up from the chair unsteadily. But as soon as he left, the boy saw a terrifying scene on the surveillance screen. In these dozens of surveillance images, the Dragon Kingdom policemen, all wearing black combat uniforms and tactical goggles, looked like the god of death, like divine soldiers descending from the sky. Frightened, the boy shouted loudly on the spot, "Boss, boss, the police from Qinghai are here to kill us. They're already in." Hearing the boy's shout, Wei Zhangkong, who had already walked out of the room and was drunk, suddenly felt that most of his drunkenness had disappeared. The next second he ran back in a hurry. When he saw the Dragon Country police filling the screen, his face suddenly turned red with excitement. "Ha ha ha, I didn't expect them to be so eager to die. Quickly, gather the brothers and get them all up. This time I will make sure these Qinghai police come and go." After saying that, he opened the cabinet on the side and took out 2 axes. At the same time, the younger brother on the side also hurriedly gathered all the armed forces in the entire town through the intercom. In less than 10 minutes, hundreds of disheveled gunmen emerged from every corner of the town. Among them are people from the Long Kingdom and people from Myanmar. And they are the trump card of the Webster brothers' rampage in Burma, and their level of armed force has even exceeded that of the Burmese army. But who could have imagined that in just a short time, Yang Lin told them that all the landmines had been cleared. In an instant, all the policemen broke out in cold sweat, but who could have imagined that just when they were scared out of their wits, Yang Lin actually threw it out like garbage. "After those police detonate the landmines, we can rush out together." At this moment, Wei Zhangkong was standing high on the balcony of the 3rd floor, holding two guns in his hands, his ferocity and cruelty clearly revealed. Everyone thought it was a stone or something. Just when Wei Zhenkong thought he had a chance to win, the Jinghai police who had just entered the town suddenly stopped. "Da Zhang Yang, what happens next is up to you. Once it explodes, no one in front of it will be spared." Hearing Qin Feng's words, Yang Lin nodded first, and then silently closed his eyes. "Kill them. Brothers, the police in Jinghai are no longer planning to give us a way to survive." After receiving Wei Zhenkong's order, these armed men belonging to the criminal group immediately gathered under the small building where Wei Zhenkong was located. The next second he said loudly again, "So what do we do?" Seeing that the atmosphere was tense, the expression on Wei Zhenkong's face became more and more crazy. But they waited for a long time, but no explosion was heard. Qin Feng originally wanted to ask Yang Lin to find the location of all the landmines, and then have their specialized personnel remove the mines. "You should all understand what awaits you once we are captured and brought back to the Dragon Kingdom for the crimes we have committed over the years. Kill them. Not only do they want our money, they want our lives. I've had people place broadsword mines all around the town. Yes, all landmines have been eliminated." Following Wei Zhenkong's inspiring words, the armed men below felt like they had been given blood. "Lie down." In less than 2 seconds, he opened his eyes again. Calculating the time, they should have reached the place where the mines are placed by now. "Huh? Is it solved?" "Okay, it's settled." In an instant, everyone was lying on the ground. But when Yang Lin approached with such an object, they discovered that it was not a stone at all, but a hugely lethal broadsword mine. It was this time that the mines would cause them heavy damage. Even before arriving here, Yang Lin had told Qin Feng and others that criminal gangs had placed a large number of landmines around the town. Perhaps seeing Qin Feng's disbelief, Yang Lin casually took 2 steps forward, and then picked up something from the ground. At the same time, Yang Lin, who was wearing Taoist robes, appeared in the queue at some point.